Hey YouTube, how you doing? This is Real Talk, and I'm coming to you with a new episode. And I want to shed some light on my 2 cents as far as it goes with the death hoaxes. I believe that Prince, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, among others, but I'm only going to cover those three in this video, had faked their deaths. And I got some stuff that I went over. I'm going to cover different topics in this video. So let's get started. Okay. On the top left corner, we have Prince, Michael Jackson, and David Bowie, which Prince and David Bowie lost this year. Michael Jackson, I forget when he passed away. But I feel that they faked their death, specifically Michael Jackson, because in an interview that he had in London, he was saying how Sony was a rotten company. David Mottola was a devil. He called David Mottola a devil, and how he was going to outthink Sony. So, and then the next thing we know, he's dead. But there's claims of him being alive in Bahrain, I think it is, or one of the Middle Eastern countries. Prince, they say that he's running around as his sister, and David Bowie is a record exec, I believe. The reason why Michael Jackson and Bowie killed themselves off and are living under other identities is because they had to erase their existence in the public eye, as seen in War Games, which brings me to the next slide. Here we see Stephen Falcon, inside of the cast of War Games. The story goes that Stephen Falcon had created this computer game or whatever that for the military, and the what's his face, Broderick, I forget what the Broderick character, he breaks into the games and he starts like World War III or whatever, so they have to go get him on his private island. And but see, inside of the story it says that he had died supposedly, and they didn't have no way to reach him, but he killed himself off to get out of the public eye, and he was living privately on an island way out in the middle of nowhere. And this is the reason why Prince was this symbol on the right bottom left for a while, because he was fighting Warner Brothers. I remember back when that happened, I was like, why is Prince turning into this unpronounceable symbol? He went from a name to some weird unisex symbol, all twisted with the curly Q's and what have you. And that's what it was, because they owned the name. Warner Brothers took his name from him, and maybe he wasn't at the beginning, didn't know about it, but he found out later, which was going to lead me to other stuff in this video. Okay. When we're out there operating in commerce, there's actually, when you were born, there was two people born. It was the physical you and the commercial you. So the physical you, the actual person, were guarded under the Bible. And here in Genesis 1:26, it tells us that, and God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." That right there means that you're a private man, and / woman. I just say man because that's what God says. Okay, so that's the little baby in the crib, goo goo gaga. But what these sneaky mothers went and did is while you're Google Gagaing in your crib or inside of the maternity ward, and that kind of should give it away right there, maternity ward, ward of the court. These little scumbags go and turn you into a person, and then they issue what's called a birth certificate, which is on the bottom, just the left bottom screen. And under the UCC 1-201 number 27, which is only one definition, I mean, there's millions of definitions of person in these UCC codes. I'll just pick this one because it seems to tell it's pretty revealing. And let's read what person says under number 27. Person means an individual, corporation, business trust, estate, trust, partnership, limited liability company, which is LLC, association, joint venture. Government is a person, so the U.S. government is a person. Government subdivision, which like DMV, welfare, child support, the police departments, whatever, all those agency, the Secretary of State, those are subdivisions from the government. PG&E is a subdivision of the government because it collects taxes, or instrumentality, public corporation, or any other legal or commercial entity. So what they did was they gave you a commercial entity, and which is basically that Social Security bond person, because it's a person, along with his number, called Social Security. And if you read the back of this card, it tells you right on there, it says, this card belongs to the Social Security Administration and you must return it if we ask for it. So what do you think they're telling you? You think they're just telling you about that little card? That's not what they're saying. They're saying that name and that number belongs to them. And in fact, you're using their property. So that's why Prince had to change to that unpronounceable symbol while he was fighting Warner Brothers, because he couldn't use the name anymore because they belonged to them on many different levels. Okay, so that's publicly. Privately, you would have to get what's called an EIN number or a FEIN number. And let's read what it says here. The Employment Identification Number, EIN, also known as Federal Employer Identification Number, FEIN, or the Federal Tax Identification Number, is a unique 9-digit number assigned by the IRS to business entities, commercial corporations, operating in the United States, which is a corporation, it's a federal corporation under 3215A, for the purposes of identification. Okay, so no matter what we do in commerce, there's going to be some type of identifying number. That brings up the fact that you can't buy, sell, or trade without the number of the beast. There you go. What they did is they attached the number to us as men and women, and we are subjugating ourselves to the government, subservient to the government, and putting the government above Almighty God, and violating the first commandment of thou shalt have no other gods above me. This is evident in the Amish. The Amish don't have Social Security numbers, and the government has allowed them to not have it, but they do pay taxes. Comparison to Social Security numbers. Similar in purpose to the Social Security number, which is what I just said, assigned to individuals. See, they didn't say assigned to men or women. It says to individuals, which is another corporation word. EINs are used by employers, sole proprietors, corporations, partnerships, nonprofit organizations, trusts and estates, government agencies, certain individuals, and other business entities. The IRS uses the number to identify taxpayers, which is another corporate word, that are required to have various business tax returns. Individuals who are employers may choose to either obtain an EIN or use their Social Security number for purpose of reporting taxes. So right here, they're telling you you don't need a social security number in order to function commercially. So, it would be best to, I think Prince was smart enough to do this because he had everything tight, but no will. And the no will thing is so that he gets tied up into probate. Now, what's happening to Cat Williams, okay, let me see here. According to okay, I just went through that. In the case of Cat Williams, he keeps getting haunted by the fact that he's trying to win them. And they're not going to allow him to do so. He must therefore change his name of Cat Williams, just like that symbol there, that Prince symbol, or something else, to accomplish this feat. As long as he uses this name, they will continue to harass and arrest him, breaking him down. He really needs to disappear like Dave Chappelle did. Cat is kind of ghetto. But Dave is educated and understands that he could not go against them in hopes to win, so he was laying low and using censored material. Cat is just out of control because he's steadily trying to win them, and he keeps going out in the public and flashing on people and blazing on people. That's his ghetto-ness. I mean, there's only so much harassment you're going to take. And you're going to flash on people. I mean, this is what's happening. But let's take a look here. If Cat Williams were to use his appropriate name, like if you look at the passport here, it says United States of America. You can't really see it because it's really blurred. I tried to get a better image, but I couldn't find one. But where it says Lawson James Edwards, right on top is his surname. And then James Edwards is his given name. So we as men and women have surnames and given names. We don't have first and last names. That's automatic. When they ask you for your first and last name, they're asking you to be a person or a corporation and all that person stuff I just explained. Now, if you look at the bottom image, it says the Secretary of State of the United States of America hereby requests all whom it may concern to permit the citizen/national of the United States named herein to pass without delay or hindrance, and in case of need to give all lawful aid and protection. Okay, so, and then this dude right here signed it, James Edward Lawson, so he signed it as a slave. But you pick which one you want. You can either be a slave or a national. They're not picking for you. You pick. You just don't know about it, and we were taught in school to sign it the way this guy signed it, and there you go. You're in the surf category, which kind of sucks big time. Now, Dave Chappelle was really, really wise in the way that he was dealing with things when he walked off his show. He wasn't like Cat Williams where he see Cat is just flashing left and right, and the reason they break celebrities is for that very reason, to break the bank account and steal the money back through false charges, court cases, IRS, and attorney fees. And we see here Cat pictured with his attorney in court, and as you can see from his facial expression, he's not too happy about that because he signed on at the beginning, and then as he started to move through the ranks, he started seeing stuff that he wasn't down with anymore, like all that gay stuff, and throwing up signs, and you got to do this, and he says, hey man, I didn't sign up for this, but that's too late. It's too bad, and it's too late. You already agreed. And this is what it's about, and there it is there. They have set the legal system, which is the public system, to do that very thing and take the promissory notes, which is pictured right there on the bottom left. This is money. This is debt. What's in your wallet? Because one was the silver certificate, which said that there was one $1 worth of silver in the bank, which was lawful at the time. Now they removed that and they just kept the phony baloney promissory note, which is against the law. Known to us as Federal Reserve notes, they're the IOUs back from us yielding labor for free. Article 4, Section 34 in the California Constitution 1849 stipulates that no bank is allowed, but associations are allowed to conduct commerce with gold and silver only. Okay, let's read what it says here in Article 4, Section 34. The legislature shall have no power to pass any act granting any charter for banking purposes, but associations may be formed under general laws for the deposit of gold and silver, but no such association shall make, issue, or put into circulation any bill, check, ticket, certificate, promissory note, or other paper, or the paper of any bank to circulate as money. And that's exactly the system that we have in place, as seen here. All of these items are against the law, which makes that the law out of bounds, according to their own writings. I mean, we didn't write that. They wrote that. They wrote it in 1849, and they said that a bill, it said, as you can see, this PG&E bill date, gone. That's unlawful. See up there, it says check number, unlawful. See right here where this is a ticket, a notice to appear, which is considered a ticket, unlawful. You see the state of California, certificate of live birth, unlawful. Treasury direct savings bonds, unlawful. You know, this promissory note, because it's a Federal Reserve note, unlawful. It's a promissory note. They're all unlawful. It's all false. It's all fraudulent. But see, that's why I'm saying every single time I get onto these videos why the Bible is real, because it says in King James Bible, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So basically, the whole system is fraudulent, and that's why God has told us not to focus on the things of this world. But getting back to Michael Jackson and them. Oh, and here's another code. This is their own code regarding the tickets. Okay, the code is going to be UCC 5-5. It's going to be 3-501 B32. Which this is the code that I use to let them know. Actually, I don't use the codes anymore because I found out that these codes are public. I use private. I usually use the Constitution, and I try to avoid using these codes, but this is good for reference. But according to this code that governs the police officers, you can refuse that ticket. It says here that without dishonoring the instrument, the party to whom presentment is made, which is the ticket, because it's an evidence of debt, may, 1, return the instrument for lack of necessary endorsement, or 2, refuse payment or acceptance, because you don't have to accept it, for failure of the presentment to comply with the terms of the instrument, which is the first one, and agreement of the parties, which is the second one, or other applicable law or rule, which means Article 4, Section 34 is a law. That's the law of the land here in California. Now there's two constitutions in place. There's the one for men and women called the Constitution 1849, and then there's one for persons called the Constitution of 1879. So they put two in place, and that way they govern, civil rights. You have your civil law, and then you have the other law for men and women, which is, that's above the law, actually, because it's not statutory law. That's only for persons. And this is what they look like now. I mean, they fake their deaths because they want. Well, Michael Jackson, Yash Karar was saying that that's Michael Jackson, and I actually went and checked out that CNN video, and I think he's right, because if you listen to the guy, I'll put the links in the description so you guys can go check out these videos yourself. It does sound like Michael Jackson. I gotta admit, because it's a really high-pitched voice. It's how ironic that this burn victim with the same eyeballs, the same look as Michael Jackson, is going to have a high-pitched voice just like Michael Jackson does. He didn't even try to disguise his voice, and it's high-pitched just like Michael Jackson is. So that could be the real Michael Jackson that got burnt up when he got burnt up in the Pepsi commercial. Prince is over here, his sister was a fat lady. Kind of, that could be him. It's quite possible that's why he supposedly didn't have a will. But I don't know. I mean, Prince was pretty on top of his game, and maybe he knew that he wasn't going to be able to do anything. After he won that case from Warner Brothers. But that remains to be seen. I mean, this is all just speculation. We do not know what's really going on. These are just hypotheses, that's all. Dude on the bottom looks like a dead ringer for David Bowie. I mean, look at the face, man. I mean, there could be clones and doubles out in the world or whatever, but this dude comes on the day, music industry executive. This dude comes on the day after Bowie dies and starts, talking about it. If he were Dave Bowie, it was pretty suspicious. The Russian Vids guy was the one that kind of brought this to my attention, and I said, wow, that's pretty trippy. So, because, supposedly all these stars are falling from the sky. How many stars did we lose? We're losing them left and right. Now, does that mean every star is a hoax? It doesn't mean all the stars are hoaxes. No, it doesn't mean that at all. Because you got to remember that, every person they have different talents and different comprehensions. They comprehend things differently. Some are smarter than others. Some are not that, Cat Williams, apparently he's not as smart as Dave Chappelle is, because he keeps getting in trouble, and Dave Chappelle, we haven't heard nothing about him other than him coming back buffed, wearing glasses, throwing up, the signs. At the end of the day, I believe that they are still alive, and these are death hoaxes just so that they can live regular, normal lives, because they would have to ditch their public personas. They couldn't live publicly, or maybe there was an agreement they made with the powers that be. Hey, some type of backdoor agreement that you get to live your life, but you can't be out there no more. You gotta, or maybe they did it to hide from them or whatever. And, as Michael Jackson said, he outthinked them. They didn't think I was going to outthink them. It's pretty hard to do, I would imagine. But, it seems like a lot of stuff to go through just to live your life. Me myself, I would rather just be where I'm at and just, be happy with what I have. Kind of what Cat Williams was saying about be happy with what you got right now. Because, life is too short. Another thing about Dave, before I hop off this thing, is one thing I noticed that Dave was throwing up a couple of signs here and there, but I'm thinking that between him and Cat, I think they're suffering from the same thing. That they're in there, but they don't want to participate. They just don't want to do what is necessary to do in order to function in that level that they're at, because Dave had repeatedly was saying that when you reach a certain level, the higher he goes, the less happy he is. Once you get to the $50 million mark, in that Oprah interview, in that same interview, where Dave, because I'm going to leave a link in the description where Dave says, it's the way people place themselves around you, to get into your pockets and into your mind. He says that in that interview when he first came back from Africa, and he interviewed with Oprah. Then she says, well, you can't just have the 50 million without no strings attached. And that's just it. That, maybe these artists ditch their public personas for that very reason, because, this is a way for them to live out the rest of their lives, without being in the spotlight. And because they can't have those personas no more, because they're highly recognizable. And that's the public persona. So all they're going to do, that's kind of why in the BET clip where Cat Williams first came out on BET, Steve Harvey announced him, and he comes out and he goes, I went to Martin's house, and if you want to go play pool, there's a pool hall, and if you want to go play basketball, there's a basketball court. You want to watch a movie, he ain't got a TV, he got a home theater. He got a theater in his house. So with these dudes, with the amount of money that they can have theaters and bowling alleys and and they can have all that in their own house. They don't need to go out in public. They can just do everything privately. They can just stay in private and just kind of disappear, just like the dude on War Games. He went and bought an island and started living on his island, and no one knew any better because he was out there just doing his own thing. But anyway, this is my 2 cents on this topic. I really think that that we have been tricked, and there's a lot of death hoaxes. All these people coming up missing. They're saying that Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds, they're even saying that what's her name? Joan Rivers is still alive too, and they're all under different. They made themselves up to look different, but it's still just real people. So who knows? All I know is that we're reporting what they tell us, and it's kind of, we're getting everything secondhand, and they're kind of they're getting their laughs in the background. It seems like. Anyway. Well, this is going to do it for this episode. I'm going to go ahead and hump off this thing, and I'm going to catch up with you guys next time.